Hello to all of my amazing subscribers. Welcome back to another video with me. In this video, we're gonna read an article, a health-related article together. Of course, this is an advanced article and you're gonna learn 31 phrases, vocabularies, and expressions. Advanced vocabularies. And you can use them and improve all areas of your English just by one video. This is Kamand, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please push a button and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like and share this video. So first, I'm gonna read the article and we will go through the vocabularies, expressions with examples, pronunciation, and a synonym. And after that, I will read the article one more time at a natural pace so you can become familiar with, natural intonation and rhythm of the reading. And the good news is you don't have to worry about taking notes. I have put a free PDF for you in the description below. The title of this article is Why Do People Sleepwalk? Why do people sleepwalk? The act of sleepwalking is when you're sleeping but you are walking at the same time. So when someone is sleepwalking, we call them sleepwalker. Sleepwalker. Once, years ago, I found myself in an ice-cold bath with no memory of walking to the bathroom or running the tub. Another time, I terrified my friend by leaving our hotel room in the middle of the night, then pounding on the door, demanding to be let back inside. Scary, huh? I found myself in an ice-cold bath. So, what is ice cold? Ice cold? Ice cold is an adjective and it means extremely cold or very chilly. A synonym for this word would be frigid. Frigid, extremely cold. Running the tub means filling a bathtub with water. So filling the bath. A synonym would be filling the bath. She was running the tub for a relaxing soak after work. Soak. I love this word. Soak is when you get wet and you take a shower. Soak. Another time, I terrified my friends. So, terrify, actually it's the past tense. The base form would be terrify. Terrify is a verb and it means to cause someone to feel scary, and we can use frighten as a synonym for this word. This is a verb, don't forget it. The horror movie managed to terrify its audience. Audience here we are referring to people who are watching that movie. Audience. Pounding on. I'm pounding on my hand right now. So pounding on means hitting repeatedly. He was pounding on the door, desperate to get inside. Hitting repeatedly. Demanding. Requiring much effort and attention. Insistent or challenging. So, we can use challenging as a synonym for this word, challenging. The job was very demanding, requiring long hours and intense focus. The job was really challenging and hard. It needed long hours and focus. Both times I awoke in the middle of these bizarre incidents. I had been sleepwalking. Sleepwalking, technically known as somnambulism, is as fascinating as it is freaky. It's a type of parasomnia an umbrella term for unusual behaviors that occur during sleep, such as night terrors and sexsomnia. When people engage in sexual activity without waking up. So, bizarre incidents. Now let's start with the word bizarre. Bizarre, it's an adjective and it means a very strange or unusual. Odd. Simply you can say odd. The stress is on Z. Bizarre. The next word here, let me highlight it with another color. Incidents. Incidents. Of course, the base form of this word is incident. And the stress is on the first syllable, incident. And it means events or occurrences, mostly unexpected or unusual events. Several incidents were reported during the festival. Sleepwalking is the usual term that we use for the act of walking while you're sleeping, sleepwalking. But the umbrella term, the term that, in medical, in science, they use for this action is somnambulism. Somnambulism. I highlighted here for you. So, sleepwalking is something that we use in our casual conversations, but when we are referring to this act in a medical situation, we call this act somnambulism. And it's fascinating, it's amazing, it's wonderful. It makes us think about the world and creation, and it's freaky. Freaky means scary, frightening. So it's a type of parasomnia. Either categories of one word. So parasomnia is an umbrella term for unusual behaviors that happen during sleep, such as night terrors or sexsomnia. Sexsomnia is when people engage in sexual activity without waking up. They're sleeping, but they are doing some sexual activities. So let's continue the article. Habitual sleepwalking is uncommon. A 2016 research review estimated that only 1.5% of adults had done it in the previous year, but almost 7% of adults have sleepwalked at some point in their lives, according to the same study. So habitual means doing something from habit and you're unable to stop it because you're accustomed to it. So we can use a synonym for this word. Let me write it for you. Accustomed. So habitual sleepwalking is uncommon. It's not common. It's unusual. A 2000 research review estimated that claimed only 1.5% of adults had done it in the previous year, in 2015. But almost 7% of adults have sleepwalked at some point. So it's not really common between adults, maybe between children, yes, but adults sleepwalking, it's not really common. The nighttime possibilities are varied and weird. A 2024 study showcased a range of sleepwalkers' reported experiences, including waking up naked on a balcony at 5 a.m., crawling into the living room on all fours, smearing on almost an entire pot of expensive face cream, and filling a bowl of water and placing it by the bed for a dreamed-up dog. Now let's focus on this paragraph. Varied means different. A 2024 study showcased. Showcased means displayed or presented in a way that highlighted some qualities or features. You can just say displayed or presented. showcased. Showcased, so we can use exhibited or displayed. A range of sleepwalkers reported experiences. So some sleepwalkers reported their experiences, and the experiences including means containing. Now we're looking to and now we're gonna go through the experiences of sleepwalkers. They woke up naked without any clothes, on a balcony at 5 a.m. Oh my god, it's so dangerous. Or they crawl like babies. They crawl into the living room on all fours, on their hands and on their feet. So, they were crawling. Or they were smearing on. Spreading, a substance over a surface. Spreading something over a surface. Or we can simply say she was smearing on sunscreen before heading to the beach. She was applying, but the act of smearing on is, a messy act. So when you're applying, you're doing it gently and nicely, but when you're smearing, it's something like, untidy and messy. Dreamed up means imaginary, fabricated, and it's unreal. As you can see, it's dreamed up. It's an adjective, dreamed up dog. The story was a dreamed up tale of adventure and fantasy. What makes people rise from their beds to do all manner of bizarre things? What makes them do this? What is the cause of this action? Dr. Francesca, author of that study, says sleepwalking seems to happen when someone is partially roused from deep slumber, leaving them in a hybrid state where they are both asleep and awake, capable of doing some awfully strange acts they might not even remember in the morning. So, the doctor of this study is suggesting that sleepwalking is when someone is partially roused. So, partially means in part and not completely, or we can say incompletely. The project was only partially completed by the deadline. So, the deadline was met, we didn't have more time, but the project was only done in part, in some parts. The next word is roused. Awakened from the sleep. And a synonym would be awakened. Roused. The loud noise roused him from his slumber. So the next word, what is slumber? Slumber means sleep, but especially a deep sleep. So when you're in deep sleep, you can call it slumber. She fell into a peaceful slumber as soon as her head hit the pillow. And we have something like a slumber party. This is really funny because a slumber party is when people and friends gather together and when they want to sleep in just one friend's house. This is really nice. I think I have experienced it a lot. A slumber party. So, they are left in a hybrid state, both asleep and awake at the same time. Really interesting. And they are capable of doing some awfully strange acts, odd acts. And There is a possibility they might not even remember what they did in the last night in the morning. They might forget everything. Researchers don't fully understand why some people slip into this limbo state when most people don't. But sleepwalking tends to run in families, suggesting there is a genetic component. So, slip into this limbo. Slip into this limbo. What does this mean? It means to enter a state of uncertainty. Sleepwalking tends to means to have a tendency or incline. He tends to be late for meetings. Run in families. But run in families, it means it's something related to genetic. The next word is component. A part or element of a larger whole. Component. The engine is a crucial component of the car. So it's a part of a whole thing. It's a part of the car, but it's a crucial component. It's a crucial element. Certain medicators, sleep disorders, and other medical conditions can also make someone prone to sleepwalking. Prone to means likely to experience something, and it's sometimes undesirable, unwanted. You don't like to experience that thing, but you are likely to experience that. So prone to. So prone to means susceptible to. He is prone to making mistakes when he is tired. Kids are more likely to sleepwalk than adults, perhaps because their brains are still developing. Sleepwalking isn't inherently problematic. Arbesh says, it's not a bad thing for your health or a good thing for your health. He says, it's more of an interesting phenomenon than a real cause for concern. Although some research has found that sleepwalkers are more likely than regular snoozers to experience fatigue. Inherently. The word inherently and the stress is on it. Inherently means essentially or fundamentally, or we can say naturally. An easy synonym, naturally. The process is inherently complex and requires careful planning. So the process is naturally complex. It's hard. It's complicated. So it needs careful planning. The next word, problematic. And the stress is on the M, problematic. Involving problems or difficulties, or we can say troublesome. The situation became problematic when funding was cut. So it's more of an interesting phenomenon. What is phenomenon? And phenomenon, the stress is on N, phenomenon. So phenomenon means occurrence, or an observable event. When you can observe, when you can see something, especially in the nature, you can call it a phenomenon. Occurrence. The northern lights are a natural phenomenon that attracts many tourists. So we can say an observable event. So, sleepwalkers are more likely than regular snoozers. Who are regular snoozers? Regular snoozers are people who frequently take naps, or we can say nap takers. So, are you a regular snoozer? It means, are you taking naps regularly? So, Nap takers. Fatigue. Fatigue. Next word is fatigue, and the stress is on T. Fatigue. Extreme tiredness. Extreme tiredness or exhaustion. We can just say exhaustion. And you feel fatigue most of the time because you had some physical experience, because you worked hard physically and you're experiencing fatigue right now because you've worked hard. After the long hike, she was overcome with fatigue. So, the next word is insomnia. Insomnia. Insomnia means difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. Or we can say sleeplessness. Sleeplessness. His insomnia kept him awake most nights. The next word is mess with. Mess with means to interfere with something, to interfere with something. So when you have insomnia, it's really interfering your sleep. Don't mess with the settings on that machine. More concerning are the safety issues that can arise when someone is up and about. People can trip or fall when they are half awake. Or worse, a patient of Martin's once drove a car while sleeping, and a patient of Arbe's fell off a second-story balcony. Usually the things people do when they're sleepwalking are much simpler behaviors, Martin says. People sometimes do get themselves into trouble. So Martin is saying that people do more simpler behaviors and activities while sleepwalking, but sometimes they do more complex things. They do more complicated things. Finally, if you're the bedfellow of a sleepwalker, you may have heard the myth that you're not supposed to wake them while they're on the move. Martin says awaking a somnambulist won't harm them beyond some momentary confusion, but the best thing you can do for a wandering loved one is gently guide them back to bed for some classic horizontal sleep. So, bedfellow. Bedfellow is a person who shares a bed with you. Bedfellow is a sleepwalker, as we talked about this before. So confusion is mixing up everything. Confusion. But the best thing you can do for a wandering loved one, wandering means moving somewhere without any purpose. She spent the afternoon wandering through the city. And the next word is gently. Gently. Gently means softly, nicely. So simple. And the last word we're learning here is horizontal. Horizontal. Horizontal means parallel to the ground, flat. Horizontal. The table was positioned in a horizontal alignment with the wall. This was the end of this article, and now let's read the article one more time so you can become familiar with the natural pace and intonation. Why do people sleepwalk? Once years ago, I found myself in an ice-cold bath with no memory of walking to the bathroom or running the tub. Another time, I terrified my friend by leaving our hotel room in the middle of the night, then pounding on the door demanding to be let back inside. Both times, I awoke in the middle of these bizarre incidents. I had been sleepwalking. Sleepwalking, technically known as somnambulism, is as fascinating as it is freaky. It's a type of parasomnia, an umbrella term for unusual behaviors that occur during sleep, such as night terrors and sexsomnia, when people engage in sexual activity without waking up. Habitual sleepwalking is uncommon. A 2016 research review estimated that only 1.5% of adults had done it in the previous year, but almost 7% of adults have sleepwalked at some point in their lives, according to the same study. The nighttime possibilities are varied and weird. A 2024 study showcased a range of sleepwalkers' reported experiences, including waking up naked on a balcony at 5 a.m., crawling into the living room on all fours, smearing on almost an entire pot of expensive face cream, and filling a bowl of water and placing it by the bed for a dreamed-up dog. What makes people rise from their beds to do all manner of bizarre things? Dr. Francesca Scolari, author of that study, says sleepwalking seems to happen when someone is partially roused from deep slumber, leaving them in a hybrid state where they are both asleep and awake, capable of doing some awfully strange acts they might not even remember in the morning. Researchers don't fully understand why some people slip into this limbo state when most people don't, but sleepwalking tends to run in families, suggesting there is a genetic component. Certain medicators, sleep disorders, and other medical conditions can also make someone prone to sleepwalking. Kids are more likely to sleepwalk than adults, perhaps because their brains are still developing. Sleepwalking isn't inherently problematic. Arbesh says it's not a bad thing for your health or a good thing for your health. He says it's more of an interesting phenomenon than a real cause for concern, although some research has found that sleepwalkers are more likely than regular snoozers to experience fatigue, daytime sleepiness, and insomnia, suggesting the habit may sometimes mess with the quality of sleep. More concerning are the safety issues that can arise when someone is up and about. People can trip or fall when they're half awake. Or worse, a patient of Martin's once drove a car while sleeping, and a patient of Arbesh's fell off a second-story balcony. Usually the things people do when they're sleepwalking are much simpler behaviors, Martin says, but people sometimes do get themselves into trouble. Finally, if you're the bedfellow of a sleepwalker, you may have heard the myth that you're not supposed to wake them while they're on the move. Martin says, waking somnambulists won't harm them, beyond some momentary confusion, but the best thing you can do for a wandering loved one is gently guide them back to the bed for some classic horizontal sleep. That was it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this lesson and you've learned a lot. Don't forget to like. Bye bye for now.